So what are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
I'm trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio.
You like music, you like weed, well, we gonna be good friends indeed. This is how much I like more than smoking trees. They'll make you dance the do-si-do and teach you how the chiba grows. Smoke a bowl on the 420 radio show. On Lifestyle Radio.
Yeah, everybody's singing as usual. This is the 420 radio show. I'm Al. I'm here with my pals Marcel and Chris and Ross. And Lori's taking a break today. She's not feeling well. So we have a whole panel of people here, all from Canada. We're literally, are we coast to coast right now? Yes, we are
coast to coast.
We are coast to coast right now. In Toronto, Sandra Petite joins us. Hello, Sandra.
Hello, everyone.
And now I'm gonna say it. Rick is here from Toronto as well. Rick is one of the owners at True Compassion Toronto. Is that?
That's correct.
Okay, there you go.
True Compassion Toronto.
And Tamara Cartwright is our actual guest today. Hello, Tamara.
Hello.
Tamara is out in BC way.
Yep.
What's the weather like out there?
It's not that great. It's 17 degrees and kind of been chilly and cloudy all day, but I'm in the East Kootenays, so I'm 12 hours away from the West Coast, right? So I'm in the mountains, so it's a little different weather out here for us.
I was I spent most of my day in Port Elgin.
No.
Yeah, it was beautiful today. We were driving around in the farm fields, and not in the farm, but, dirt roads and stuff, and, going shortcuts. I love shortcuts. We went up to the reservation. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So tonight we are going to have a conversation, specifically the topic. Tamara has an issue with the new ACMPR being while she was I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tamara, while she was in the MMAR program, you were trying to help a patient.
Right. Well, multiple patients, quite honestly. Like, this happened in 2011. There's not much point in lying about it now, but there's multiple patients. So, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and I believe that you were nabbed trying to help a patient with like 4 grams.
Right, correct. Yeah, 4 grams got nabbed.
Was it a sting? Was it set up?
No, I think what happened was, like, the Taper post office being where it was in southern Alberta, and the package, I think, wasn't properly sealed, smelled, whatever. It alerted somebody at the post office, so they nicely phoned the Taper Town Police and let them know that they had found this package, and I guess there was a couple other ones that they grabbed. Fortunately for me, I only got, charged with the one, but, yeah, it never made it to Toronto, and...
Wow.
I got picking up another package from the post office. They kind of held me back and made up excuses where they, couldn't find the package when I first got there. And then the landlord, that I owned a hair salon at that time, so I closed the doors. And the owner of the drugstore where the post office was my old landlord. So he came out and started making excuses as to, kind of hold me off. They got my package. I left the post office in my pajamas and my slippers and went to go home. And the next thing I know, I'm being pulled over and. Yeah, arrested.
Wow. That's unreal. When I got my MMAR I went to the post office and it actually said what it was on the package. So I jokingly said, "Oh, cool, the Cannabis Bureau." And she smiled and I said, "Can I ask you a question? This is my license for cannabis and I'm going to start getting it through the mail. Am I going to have any issues?" She said no. See, we don't even bother with that stuff. It either gets caught at the main distribution center or we just let it go through.
Well, yeah, but Tabor, Alberta is kind of a different situation altogether, and I'm actually the first person in history ever to walk out of the Tabor police station with an ounce of pot, because the package that was in the mail was coming from another patient, a friend of mine that had sent it out. I picked up that package at the post office, and they couldn't keep that package because I had license to possess. So all they could charge me for was this trafficking that I had sent this 4 grams, out in the mail, and I walked out of the Tabor police station with an ounce minus 1 gram because they were taking a gram for testing, and charged.
We're going to keep one for ourselves.
Did they give you the results of the test?
Never heard back from them again. Never seen hide nor hair of a Tabor cop ever again. Oh, that's not true, but yeah, a couple other incidents after that, but it was because of the fact that we were driving through licensing, and the one cop had a real hard on, and we had already moved and pulled us over, and where's your license, Tamara, and this and that, and we had fun.
That's crazy.
Tabor's the shithole of Alberta.
Yeah, I heard that they're going to opt out of legalization.
Oh, they've already opted out of all kinds of things. But they'll be like the ones in Colorado opting out and crying they're not getting any money for schools and infrastructure, right? So, and that'll be the thing. All these counties and whatever places and towns and municipalities in Canada that choose to opt out on legalization. Don't be crying for the cash afterward then.
Yeah.
So
if only there was an opt-out clause in, a legalization plan. Which I don't think there is. So
I don't think under a Canadian law they can opt out.
No, they can't. And
they can they probably can. They can make bylaws. Yeah. They can absolutely make bylaws. So in any municipality, they can make bylaws.
Yeah, and you can open up a dispensary right on the edge of town or something like that and say, screw you, Tabor.
Yeah. Well, I don't live in Tabor anymore, thank God.
So, Tamara, in what year did you say it was
legalization? No, you're not going to opt out of legalization. And if you don't like the way things are now, you're really going to hate the future.
Really? Yeah, that's very true.
So how long ago was that, Tamara, that you were arrested?
Was 2011. Yeah, and I was convicted in 2011.
Okay, and because of that, you may have issues getting your grow going again through
there's no issue.
ACMPR.
She's not permitted under the new rules of the ACMPR.
No, there's absolutely not. They will not allow me because I've got 10 years. So it's like a mandatory minimum jail sentence for 10 freaking years for 4 grams of marijuana, or cannabis. It's absolutely ridiculous. But no, my hands are tied. There's absolutely no exceptions. When I was convicted of this charge, I was basically told no stay of proceedings, no, we can't withdraw the charges. You have no defense. Because I had a thank you card and my business card and my return address and...
Yeah, they got you red-handed, so to speak.
Tamara, did you take a plea? Tamara, did you take a plea or did you actually go to trial?
No, I took a plea for 6-month conditional because I had no defense. There was no trial. They don't, there was nothing.
Well, what if you pled not guilty and just stuck to not guilty? What would have happened?
I don't know. I have no idea. I had nobody to absolutely give me any legal advice. So you
didn't have a lawyer? You had no lawyer?
No lawyer.
Really?
No, I had duty counsel who was fresh out of BYU that didn't have a clue about marijuana laws at all. I had no money. Legal aid turned us down, and let's face it, I'm not a rich girl. So
did he advise you to plead guilty? Did duty counsel advise you to plead guilty?
No, I went and talked to the Crown Prosecutor, the federal Crown Prosecutor, and pled my case in front of him. And he basically said, you have no defense here. I can't even take this back to my boss and ask for a stay of proceedings for you. Yeah. He says, this is the reasoning as to why. And like I said, business card, thank you note with, my signature in it. Pretty much red-handed.
Actually, your other recourse would have been to file a charter defense similar to what Owen Smith did.
Yeah, well, that would have maybe taken somebody telling me that at that point. I had no clue, and like I said, I wasn't advised by anybody.
But you didn't tell anybody that it happened, because we
Absolutely, I did. Absolutely.
She was. You were posting it quite a bit.
You bet, Sandra. You dang straight. I actually relied on people to come and help me, and not one person came and stood beside me in that courthouse. Not one. In fact, I think people were saying on Facebook, it was, I guess if she does the crime, she should do the time. That was my backup and support.
That sounds like the backstabbers that are our community. Sorry, but it does.
It does happen like that, yes.
But there is a but, because I'm also hearing that you can take it to court and present your argument in front of court and get an appeal kind of thing, right?
I could go and appeal my conviction probably, but I highly doubt that I could probably appeal a conviction.
I don't mean the conviction. I think
you can get an injunction and
their decision.
Yeah,
no,
you can get an injunction from a judge that would.
That's what I'm getting at. Okay,
right.
Yes.
But the problem is you got to go into the judge. So if I'll give you a better way to put this, if you were in a position where you couldn't get a doctor to sign and you got caught growing, and you were convicted, you could go into the judge and say, look, the only reason I have this charge is because I couldn't get a doctor to sign for me then. It was still medical need, yada, 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 and all I need to do is prove that I can't afford to purchase from an LP and that growing is my only option, then the judge may give you that.
And obviously you can prove you have medical need.
Right, but if you were covered under the MMAR or MMPR and you were convicted of an offense such as trafficking, there's no judge in the world that's going to give you that exemption, because you couldn't be trusted with the old program. How can you be trusted again?
Well, they gave me my license 2 years after that. So
Because
you know what I mean?
There's nothing.
Your personal license, yes.
Right.
No, I could grow 2 years after I was convicted of that, because in the MMAR they never asked you anywhere as a personal grower whether you had a conviction of any kind.
Right,
if you were personal growing, nobody
designated growers.
Right. Well, I wasn't a designated grower. I was personally growing for myself. So nowhere on that form did it ever ask me if I had a criminal conviction of any kind. I'd been charged with possession 2 years prior to that because I couldn't get a doctor to sign me.
I think it
already
could be
had
challenge for sure.
Yeah. Well, it's just crap, all of it. But that's the thing. But after the fact that I was charged and convicted, I still grew for 2 years after that with an MMAR. Hence why I was covered under the Allen injunction and the whole 9 yards, why I still hold an MMAR right now. But, with this new little box that you have to tick on the back of the new ACMPR, that totally leaves me without an option unless I lie, which I would not do.
No, you don't want to do, because then you get charged again for fraud.
Oh, and
can I ask
a big fat liar, and I'm not. So
can I ask a quick? On the form, I noticed that it says renew or new. Now, when somebody is coming, they're all new. Okay,
they're all new right now. When you reapply after for next year, you will tick renew and put in your M number.
Yeah.
Right now, as it sits, if you're covered by the Allard injunction, you don't really have to do anything unless you want your grammages upped or you've moved.
Right.
So you're still under the injunction for Allard if you're sitting the way you were prior. For me, for example, I have no choice but to apply because I moved. And as it is, I can still, of course, get a designated grower, which will likely be my husband, so that I'm, still within realm of keeping it fairly close so I can have my hands in it, right? But that's the only option I've got, which a lot of people don't have. And that's my point, where he goes, well, you could go to court, you can designate grow, you can do this and that, but in hindsight, not everybody has that option.
That's right.
The other problem with this is they've come out and said that this is just a temporary measure until legalization happens, so nobody knows what's going to happen next.
Well, never mind the fact that we've got, healing trauma centers, that the doctors are going to now refuse to sign for a license or for growing. They'll sign you up for a licensed production, but they will not sign you up for a grow. And what my point is you don't need a doctor's signature on your permit, but you need to have an original permit or original doctor's document to go with your grow permit. And you have to have an original document for the licensed producer. No doctor is going to sign two pieces of paper for you. Or very few will, signing you up for licensed producer and signing you up for just the Health Canada application to grow.
Can I ask a question? Has anybody on the panel here actually walked into their doctor's office with a form yet?
I'm doing that on Tuesday.
Yeah, I sent mine off on Wednesday.
I'm doing that. I'm going on Tuesday myself. But So nobody has actually presented this form to a doctor yet. Now,
we got signed and sent it to Health Canada on Wednesday. Tuesday. Deb and I went and got signed on Tuesday and sent the forms off to Health Canada on Wednesday.
Okay. So how long? So they're saying
were you making changes?
Yes, I was covered under the injunction, but I moved.
Oh, okay.
So it was kind of the wise move for me to go ahead and reapply.
See, I've got to go in and get mine done, but not my wife's. I'll leave hers alone because we don't have to do any changes with hers. I have to move my grow. I just haven't decided where I'm going to move my grow to yet.
You can move it to my place.
How about a bigger place?
See, the thing
somebody's offering me a space that he says will hold well over my 150 plants.
Well, there you go.
So I've got to go and have a chat with him and find out what he wants in return for that.
Right.
So can we switch tones here? Because I have a question. We were talking about this the other day. It seems that some people have found out that as far as if you're renting, you do not have to have the permission or even inform your landlord.
Yeah,
unless of course
there's exceptions to that. And I think
yes, well, that's what I was going to say. Well, I'm going to find out.
Yeah, we need to find that because I live in geared to income. So
so do I. Do I.
So I need to find out. Actually, I don't think they
well,
can.
Ross had a conversation with them.
Yeah,
didn't you, Ross? And you mind telling us what they said about the whole living situation thing?
Yes, I specifically mentioned the situation where somebody lives in an apartment building, renting an apartment. It's their regular place of residence. They want to grow. Do they have to get the permission of or inform their landlord? And the answer was no, they do not.
And if I may also interject, on the forms itself, the actual grow, wherever you're going to grow forms, it actually says, blah, 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 if this is your place of, what does it say? I don't have it in front of me, but it's basically, if this is your personal place of residence, you do not have to inform anybody.
Right.
But where people are going to start getting into trouble, like for instance, my mom's condo, I guarantee you there is a clause about growing pot in her agreement for her property services. Okay.
And that could be an issue, is that if you have a condo agreement in your apartment, they could put a bylaw in their condo agreement that there is no home growing allowed.
Yes.
So
it could be that.
But isn't that okay? Now that would be a charter fight,
not charter, human rights. I would
not charter. It could not even human rights, because you know what argument they make? They say that their insurance will not cover anything that happens, like you had a flood because you were growing, and their insurance wouldn't cover it.
But we have some guests coming up in the very near future that are from insurance companies, correct? Or a insurance company.
I know someone from an insurance company that will insure people that are growing.
That's where I was going. We're going to try and get this person on the show if they're able to. So
okay,
yeah, and which would make things a lot easier, I think, for people as well.
It would sort of end that excuse. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, what if you have a fire or a thing? Well, I have insurance. That's what I have insurance for.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can get somebody on, from them or another company that's. I know in the States there's a few that are already doing it. State Farm, no.
Let me see. LMG Insurance Brokers Limited. I already got a guy.
Okay.
I'll have my guy call your guy.
Okay. All right. All right. So my point is, I mean, like, what's going to happen over the next little while, probably for a long while, is we're going to, every time we turn a corner, you're going to find out, oh, no. And then you get over that, oh, no. Oh, you can't do that. You can't do that. Well, but the long and the short is that the courts have forced Health Canada into saying, oh, yes, you can do that. So
Yeah.
it would be a fight. It would be a valuable fight.
Can I interject here as
Yep.
somebody who's been in the industry for a number of years and
Please
seen
do.
what happened the last time they switched from the whatever the
Whatever letters they were.
Yes. I literally had old ladies, grandparents calling me. I got a letter from Health Canada telling me I have to destroy my grow and destroy all of my marijuana after a certain date. Now I have to buy from licensed producers. We're on.
No, you don't have to, Rick.
Not now, but I'm talking about when they switch from the MMAR to the MMPR.
You're talking about the kitty litter thing?
The kitty litter thing.
Yeah.
I know actual people who got the letter and were terrified that if they didn't follow the letter to the T, the next day after the April 1st or whatever the stupid deadline date, I believe it was April Fool's Day. Actually.
It was.
I got the letter.
That they would have literally like the RCMP knocking at the doors, breaking it down.
I don't know anybody who actually had that happen to them, though.
I don't know anybody who had the right to grow before, and since the MMPR came in, I don't know anybody who's been arrested for growing their own marijuana once they've already had the right.
I know 4 people who were licensed, then weren't, then were, that back and forth, got hooked up into the whole Dr. K thing, and now they're not, and they've decided that, you know what, fuck it. There are a lot of people out there that are standing their ground and saying enough is enough. This is not good enough, and we're going to do what we're going to do that the courts have said we're going to do, right? So
at the end of the day, if somebody's already been approved to grow their own pot, I can't see them sending an actual person to jail for it. Unless
they took everything from James McDonald, though. They did. They took everything from James. They ripped his plants out. They took all his stuff out in Nova Scotia. So, I mean, it's not like they're not going to. You dang straight they will. Like, they're the guy that was, Nova Scotia too, that got busted.
It happened to a guy in Napanee, too. Napanee went through a ride check and he got charged, and they refused to drop the charges. And he was completely legal, was not over his carry limit. There was absolutely, and they just keep remanding it.
Wow.
So I just don't believe that they're actually going to lighten up on anything. I think they're going to tighten up the whole end of it. And with legalization, I'm not seeing it being much better, quite frankly. But then again, we've got voices in there at the task force, which that are out there, pushing forward in Vancouver, which, would have been nice if some of us would have been informed about that as well. But, nobody, at least we've got Kirk Tusaw in there, at least speaking for us. I don't know if they're speaking for the patients or if they're speaking for themselves in the industry. And that's, where you have to wonder where they're drawing the line with legalization and the patients, you know what I mean? And a temporary program until legalization comes in. What the hell does that mean? A temporary program until legalization comes in. So does that mean with legalization we're not going to be growing still? They're not going to allow recreational to grow? What the hell does that mean?
It means exactly what they say, that come legalization, they're going to change the rules on everybody again.
No, can I just offer a couple
They've already said this is temporary.
Yeah.
They've already said it in the first announcement.
They did.
Can I offer a couple of tidbits? Just let me offer a couple of tidbits about what you just said, because there's a couple of indicators that tell me that we're still going to have the right to grow medicinally even after legalization. It's all going to be
why they changed that in Washington.
Number one, Al just meant number one, there is a renewal box on the form. Okay. Number two, I called Health Canada and I said to them, okay, I called the LP line, the one, if you want to be a licensed producer, dial 3. So I thought, okay, I had a question for them. I said, if I want to become an LP that just grows plants to produce seeds and cuttings to sell to home growers, would I be able to do so under the, these new regulations? And they said, she paused for about 20 seconds and she said, No, there's nothing under the new regulations that would stop you for applying for that.
Her script didn't have that entry in it.
So
you know what I mean.
But the way the regulations have been written, it's a viable business opportunity for anybody that wants to do it. Except you're going to be competing against all of the other LPs who are also.
And not only that,
don't
you still need the same $2 million in assets?
No. You see, because you wouldn't have the security requirements. You're not. Storing it. You're not selling it. You're not processing it. You're not. It.
You'll still have security requirements.
Yeah, absolutely. You still have security requirements.
But rather than having a 500,000 square foot building, you're going to have a 4,000 square foot building that has 3 rooms. You know what I mean? And being able to outfit that and pay for that. I'm not saying that I'm going to do it, but maybe somebody will. I don't know.
But producing prestige
that's not the point. The point I'm trying to make is that why would they allow you to do that, to produce seeds and cuttings for home growers on the long haul, if they're going to end it when they legalize it?
Why were they still approving MMARs right up until the point that they switched it over to the ACMPR?
Well, because that's the way the law was.
January, though.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm not saying it's an ironclad guarantee of anything. I'm just saying these are just indicators to me that medical use of cannabis is not going to end with legalization, but it will be rolled into legalization.
I hope that when legalization comes, they'll drop the HST and stuff like that off of medical marijuana.
There was something already. There was a mention this week in an article that disability basically, once everything goes through and is final, they're not going to have any choice but to have coverage.
Yes, ODSP and Ontario Works.
They are going to have to. I mean, right now, they cover my Sesame on ODSP.
But here's the thing, that'll take care of the home grow issue for a lot of people too, because if your medicine's being paid for,
then why do you bother growing it yourself?
Right.
Yes, that's just.
That's my concern too. Once they have access for everything, if they have everything covered right down to expenses and affordability through insurance, but it still leaves a lot of people out with insurance. Like myself, for example, I'm not on any services. We don't have anything covering us through Alvin's new job. It's a crap job, so it doesn't give you any benefits. So that still leaves us out of that loop of any benefits because we're not covered by anybody. So
and a lot of
other people, right?
And unfortunately, in this argument, the employed are being left out in this argument.
Right. Absolutely. Right. The ones that aren't covered by any social service program. And
I mean, if
is out there like that, and never mind the ones
Blue Cross covering things. No. So Blue Cross won't help. What about that?
They're covering. I believe that the Blue Cross is covering the soldiers.
None of the insurance.
No, that's not true.
Ontario Trillium benefits might kick in.
Well, I was going to ask if Trillium would cover that.
Until marijuana gets a drug identification number, none of the insurance companies will
Absolutely,
cover
that's not true. The soldiers have been given DIN numbers themselves, and Blue Cross has been covering every military soldier out there for their medication for the last.
They get their own DIN number.
But
each person gets a DIN number.
That is absolutely not true. Blue Cross does cover the military, so. Yeah.
Right, but the military pays Blue Cross for that coverage, and again,
absolutely.
The plant
so the soldiers,
itself,
as they're paying for it.
The plant itself will never get a DIN number because there's no conformity to it.
No.
Part of being a DIN number is it's got to be conformity.
I'm not conformed either, but I can have one.
That's right. Like if they're able to give anybody that's involved in the military a DIN number to put in with their medicine, whether it's this strain, that strain from whoever, but I mean they're also putting it. Then if they're paying for insurance on it, then they're going to pigeonhole you into only being able to purchase from the licensed producer because that's going to be the only safe form of medication that's out there, right? So again, we have to be careful in our wording. Be careful for what you ask for and what you want.
Does anybody know anybody who's not in the military who's having their marijuana covered?
Yes.
Marie Tripp had some.
Marie got she went for a vaporizer. Yeah.
And I think Christine got one too as well.
It's an assistive device.
I think she's working on getting coverage as well. I heard There was a story last year where somebody got coverage. I don't know if he was a vet or not, but ODSP covered him or something like that.
There's
been a few
several
incidences
across the country that have gotten covered, and how that's been done. And it was done before the military.
Okay.
But it was done through workers' compensation.
Ah.
And basically the patients took workers' compensation to court. And
has CPP done the same thing, maybe?
And well, they've got it covered with workers' comp by having a DIN number assigned to the patient.
So that's what's going to happen now. We're all going to end up with
we're going to be numbered.
I'm going to be a they can put a tattoo wherever they want.
There you go.
But that still leaves the people that don't have any insurance coverage. Like, and if you're going to go for yourself, highly likely they're not going to give you insurance coverage if you're going for yourself, and that still leaves people out that don't have insurance coverage.
You know what? It's going to leave people out, but by the same token, I am in housing. Sandra's in housing. Are you going to push the issue, Sandra?
Push the grow here?
Well, you see, I don't. Here's my thing. I don't have any place to go, and I've just been told by the Canadian government that it's okay for me to do that. I don't have to tell anybody. When they come in and do their inspection, if they want to say something, they can. But it would, in order for them to, here's the thing, in order for your landlord to even take action against you, and again, you don't need their personal verification on any forms to say, yes, you're going to go, you're going to put a tent in your bedroom.
Here's something I think we should all keep in mind. Health Canada is not going to go out, and neither is the government of Canada going to be able to afford to go out and hire all these people to go out inspections to come out and start.
That's so true. They didn't even do it before, so how are they going to do it now?
Exactly, Sandra. So in hindsight, everybody's freaking out about all these inspections and all this extra paperwork and all this extra stuff. And in hindsight, they're not going to have the staff to do it. They haven't hired any more people to come back into the medical marijuana program to make it so that our licensing and our renewals, they're saying don't apply yet. Give us some time because we're going to be so tucked under with all these new applications flooding in, which to me indicates that they have no intentions of hiring any more people to go into that department, as 30 people they laid off 2 years ago when they were letting this whole program fall to the wayside. So they haven't hired any new staff. They're not going to hire any new inspectors. They're just going to leave us all floundering in complete stress for absolutely nothing.
Understood. The inspections I meant very valid, but the inspections that I meant was in every apartment building that I've ever lived in housing. Every year they come in and they do an inspection.
Right.
Now, do they have the right? You see, in the apartments and housing that I've been in, I always close my bedroom door because my bedroom is my bedroom. That is my personal space, and I don't give a fuck who you are unless you're invited in there. Stay the fuck out.
I live in a bachelor. I have no choice.
Okay. Well, okay, but by the same token, so when Buddy comes in to check the smoke detectors, he looks around. Do you need any fixing? No. Okay, we'll see you. They've never caused an issue. They've never gone really snooping or anything. They're really just there.
They walk in and out. That's all.
Walk in and out.
Well, they're supposed to be there, I think, just to basically check to make sure you haven't smashed walls and everything's not leaking, right?
Exactly.
Just a run through. But I mean, and this is like the problem that's going to be a municipal issue, right? Because the fact that all housing is going through municipalities, where you're going to have, like I said, municipal bylaws, different other things that might come into effect once legalization comes into effect. So I think we have to really sit back and wait on that. So
I remember a case in Toronto. Sandra, you may know about this. A gentleman was living in the Regent Park apartments in housing, and had a personal grow license at that address.
Exactly who he is.
And he set up his grow, and everything was going just swimmingly until there was a fire. And the fire inspector came in and deemed it his fault because of a grow and faulty wiring. And he took it to court, I believe, didn't he, Sandra?
Yes, he did.
And did he win? I believe he won the case, but he was evicted anyways.
Yeah,
he was evicted on grounds of being unsafe.
True. It didn't actually work in his favor at all. And in fact, I think he was actually, almost said his name, he was actually homeless for a while.
Yeah.
And that, considering...
Now, in 2016, I can count 6 people on my hands right now that I personally know that are living in various buildings within a half an hour from me, who are daily, hourly, chronic smokers for whatever reason, who will and are going to jump on this to see what happens. Some of them are going to succeed. Some of them are not. What do you folks suggest? And I'm going to ask you, Ross, first, because Ross,
do it completely. Have a license, like electrician. Do your grow. Do everything above board. Don't
Make it
try
compliant.
and steal part.
Now you don't really need to have a licensed technician come in now to set up a grow, because they've got.
No, just make sure that the work is done properly.
Yeah. So Ross, as a profiteur. Do you have any suggestions? And I've had this conversation with Ross a couple of times. Do you have any suggestions to our listeners? And I want to take a quick break, but when we come back, let's give some people some suggestions who are listening that might be in my situation on how they can accomplish doing something within this realm of the law.
Grow box.
Properly,
Grow box.
Grow box.
And
I can do that for you. Yeah.
Okay,
And lights.
so let's do that.
Do you want to go do it after break or right now?
After the break.
Okay.
Because we do have another hour and a half to fill here.
Oh, okay. I think I can do, about an hour.
All right.
God, no. He's going to tell you everything.
A while back.
Okay, I'll be back and just go 55 minutes.
A while back, a band called Roadman sent me a few tunes, and I liked them, so I'm going to feature them again. We got songs from them. And then the last one, I don't know. We'll figure that out. This is the 420 Radio Show. We are live at 420radio.ca and lifestyleradio.net. If you're not doing anything, you want to come into the chat room, there's a Kelly Gallagher. Oh! Cut her finger open at my window. So we're going to go for a break, and I'm going to go help her. We'll be right back. At my window. So we're going to go for a break, and I'm going to go help her.
Head down to the meeting where the people come to pray. They come to ask for forgiveness and cast it down and the fears away. We know that when the sun rises, everything gonna be okay. Know that I love you all more than any words can say. I come from
This is Bubbles from the trailer park, and they're playing some fucking excellent music on lifestyleradio.ca. I hope I didn't sound too nervous there.
Please hang up and try again.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
Growing your own vegetables, flowers, or even medicinal plants can be a challenge without the right equipment and proper know-how. At BMA Hydroponics, not only are they your urban horticultural experts and suppliers, but their staff holds the customer's needs paramount to making a sale. Family-owned with decades of experience and knowledge, they offer free advice in person, by phone, or email. BMA Hydroponics wants to ensure you have the advice you need, which is why you'll find tips and tricks on different ways to grow, like wick, ebb and flow, drip, or aeroponic system, as well as other helpful links at bmahydroponics.com. If you can't find what you're looking for, just let them know, and they'll do everything they can to get what you're looking for. At BMA Hydroponics, each staff member also possesses a federal exemptee MMAR license, making their strong suit empathy, experience, and dedication to their customers. Because when you know how to grow, you'll have results that make you proud. BMA Hydroponics in Belleville, Ontario. Visit bmahydroponics.com.
Good evening. I'm Coulter Wonkite. I'm already into the 420, damn it.
Right there, Chris.
A BC Supreme Court judge has ruled that the RCMP violated the charter rights of a husband and wife whose home was linked to a marijuana grow operation, a dispute that has since come to involve the province's civil forfeiture office. Criminal charges against the couple were stayed 4 years ago, but the file is still being pursued by the civil forfeiture office, a government agency that has been criticized for its aggressive attempts to seize homes, vehicles, and cash connected to criminal offenses, even from people who have not been convicted or charged. David and Jennifer Johnson were arrested in June 2009 after a raid at their home in Surrey, BC. Mr. Johnson was in a vehicle with his 3-year-old son when he was taken into custody. Criminal charges against the husband and wife were dropped in 2012, but after a judge ruled that the case had taken too long to get to trial and the alleged grow-up was relatively small at 267 plants. But 5 days after criminal charges were stayed, RCMP forwarded the file to the Civil Forfeiture Office. The office then began proceedings to seize $130,000 removed from the home during the police search. The Globe and Mail has reported extensively on the Civil Forfeiture Office, which was introduced as a way to fight organized crime, but has come to have a far broader reach. Critics have questioned some of the files it takes on, calling it a cash cow. BC Supreme Court Justice Miriam Masonville, in a recent ruling, found police violated the couple's charter rights. She said Mrs. Johnson was not given an opportunity to call a lawyer for nearly 2 hours after police entered the couple's home, and the judge said the police also should not have asked Mr. Johnson about a hydro device before he spoke to counsel. Mr. Johnson has said he wished to speak to a lawyer who had represented him in a real estate transaction, although he could not immediately recall the lawyer's name. Matthew Jackson, the lawyer who is now representing Mr. Johnson, said a hearing will be scheduled to determine how the ruling affects the civil forfeiture case. The judge also found the RCMP failed to file a form with the Justice of Peace outlining exactly what had been taken from the couple's home. She said that too amounted to a charter breach. Injury-Free Nova Scotia is hosting a facilitated conversations throughout Nova Scotia on the topic of cannabis. The federal government is currently drafting legislation to legalize cannabis, and this will impact the health and safety of our communities. These conversations will explore the evidence that will form regulations and allow us to provide feedback to the federal panel on legalized cannabis. They are reaching out to their community partners that work in the fields of health, justice, education, and community services. Inviting you to attend one of their cannabis conversations, join them as we work together to pursue policy action that will reduce harm among our communities, especially our youth. Yes, believe it or not, that's happening again. They're going around. And it's in Middleton on September 12th, New Glasgow September 28th, Halifax October 5th, and Sydney October 12th. You can RSVP if you'd like and get in and listen to what they're saying. But I tried to get in for the daytime conversations and wasn't permitted. I tried to register, and they called me back immediately and said that because there's a free lunch and they couldn't afford to feed the city, that I could go to the public hearing in the evening. I plan to go, and it should be interesting. And the controversial Colchester County project by Alton Gas has sputtered from activity to dormancy for years. The goal of the first $130 million phase is to take nearly 10,000 cubic meters of water daily from the estuary and propel it through 12 kilometers of underground pipeline to a Brentwood Road cavern site near Alton. There, the water would be pumped about 1,000 meters underground to flush out salt beds to create 3 initial gas storage caverns that will each measure 80 meters high by 50 meters wide, about the size of an average office building. This dissolved salt would then be pumped back into the estuary site to be stored in a brine holding pond until it's gradually released back into the river system at about 1,400 cubic meters of salt in each 10 to 11 hour ebb tide cycle. A cycle that will take the released brine down the tidal river to the ocean. The project, which has been stalled for 20 months, got a reprieve on January 20th, when the province issued permits for the brining operation in the least of the Crown lands. But the Shubenacadie band, many of whom members reside in the Indian Brook near Shubenacadie River, was among 6 groups that appealed the province's approval. Environment Minister Margaret Miller denied all 6 appeals, but the Shubenacadie band subsequently appealed the minister's decision to the Supreme Court of Nova Scotia. That appeal hearing, set for Wednesday and Thursday of last week, has now been rescheduled till November 10th, 14th, and 15th. The band requested a stay earlier this year to prevent the company, a subsidiary of AltaGas, from doing specific work on the project until the hearing, but in mid-July, Justice Michael Wood dismissed the band's request to stay the company's industrial approval pending final resolution of the band's appeal on that approval. The band has not satisfied me, he said, that there is reasonable likelihood that it will suffer irreparable harm if the stay is not granted, Wood said in his July 13th written decision. Dismissal of the stay request, coupled with another decision to move the appeal hearing of the company's industrial approval, gives the company latitude to continue work on the project. I understand that the other day they breached the dike, so that was pretty fundamental part of the construction, and there is no stay that prevents them from completing construction or starting the brining. Larkin said of the plan to channel the brine from the holding pond. Hopefully they won't, but they can. The company resumed work at the river site in July, but had not scheduled commencement of the brining operation till later this month. Past project delays have occurred primarily because of the Micmac community's insistence that the company had continually ignored its obligation to consult with First Nations. In granting the permit in January, the government said the obligation to consult with the First Nations had been satisfied. Alton has received all the environmental and industrial approvals for construction, Lalonde said. The approvals are the outcome of the environmental assessment of the project, as well as the independent third-party science. Today, a delegation from the Shubenacadie district of the Mi'kmaq Nations traveled to Shediac, New Brunswick, in solidarity to urge the federal government, Minister Dominic LeBlanc, to designate the Bay of Fundy rivers and streams as critical habitat for the inner Bay of Fundy salmon, an endangered species. An application to designate or alternatively grant an emergency order against the Alton Gas and Tidal Power Unit full designation has been submitted by the Shubenacadie in July. And the Assembly First Nations chief signed resolution calling on the minister to make the designation or emergency order. So in an effort to save the river and protect the indigenous wildlife, Cheryl Maloney posted the following yesterday. My job for the Alton Gas protest for our next big event, Sunday, September 4th, is to coordinate the treaty fish-in against Alton Gas. I am looking for 10 to 12 Mi'kmaq treaty beneficiaries who want to fish in against Alton Gas at brine dumping portion of the river. What this means is each person or couple or family will commit to fishing 1 eel trap each and checking it every couple of days. So they're looking to have people get involved in that. They have a boat that they can share to help check the traps. If you want to get involved, and you can be part of the first truck house on the Shubenacadie River in over 250 years. So that's what's going on. I want to give a shout out to everyone attending the 12th annual Wharf Rally motorcycle rally in Digby, Nova Scotia. Best wishes to anyone on the East Coast who's affected by Hurricane Hermine as it makes its landfall in Florida on last Thursday and it's making its way up the coast. And happy Labor Day to everyone. Stay safe. This has been your 420 News. Peace, love, and hippie shit.
Peace, love, and hippie shit.
There you go.
You're getting very good at that, Chris. What do you guys think?
Yeah. I think you did good. Especially live.
Very good.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's actually better live. I like it better, Chris.
Yeah.
Because, we can, if we had something to say, we could say it.
Yeah, and like I invite you at any point to interject in there you want. I mean, I have no problem with that. Especially if we're doing it live, it's your best chance to do it. So yeah.
How are the forest fires going? Are they making any headway?
Ours on the East Coast are pretty much done.
Yeah, really.
We got some rain.
That's good. Somebody's got their TV
Coronation
on.
House or place.
Who's watching Coronation House?
It's me. And it just flipped back on. I had it on pause, and it just all of a sudden come back on because I paused.
Could I ask you to mute it if you don't mind?
It's off. Actually, I turned it back off.
I want to hear the
She
latest.
got
What's going
bored of
on with that show?
started watching Coronation Street. Okay.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's one of those shows that you can watch it 10 years later and still know what's going on.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I was hoping to have somebody to interview on that Alton gas thing.
It's still flowing, Cal.
They just gone to New Brunswick. I guess they couldn't get back a hold of me. So
The whole situation of the Alton gas thing just pisses me off.
I've been fishing striped for years, and that's the last place for them to be spawning. And maybe they can maybe they can figure around with the river and do it safely. But they never usually do. I'd rather them leave it the fuck alone.
But the amount of salt that they're dumping in and where they're dumping it is going to basically wipe out the fisheries for that area X number of years until they're done. It may come back.
They say it's not going to hurt anything, but I don't know how that could possibly be. Why don't they use the salt? Dig it out like a normal company would have to. Why
or pump it out and evaporate it off in salt beds.
It is in salt beds. They just got to go dig a hole.
It's in a salt cave.
So they got to dig through the first 10, 20 feet of dirt.
Right.
Like any other company would have to.
They're going to create it, but they don't want the salt. They want the storage area to store gas under pressure, which will then leach into the groundwater anyways.
Somebody will want the salt.
We've got lots of salt in this province. More than we use as it is. That's why we ship salt all over the world. But don't forget, all the salt that we mine is all road salt. You don't eat the salt that comes from the ground. So the salt is really of no use. That's why they're going to dump it back into the river system. But it's too much salt to be dumping back into that system.
No, it's like I said, they say they can do it safely. I can't see it. So.
Oh, they can say whatever they want, but they know that vegetation that is been used to growing in that salt content isn't going to survive in a higher salt. If you lose the vegetation, then you lose the fish life in there as well. It's a stupid thing to do. If you want to store gas, don't store it underground so it leaches into the water.
No, amen.
Store it into tanks. And if you think it's so safe, if you don't think that's safe enough, then store your tanks offshore.
Well, what are they doing now in Nova Scotia here? They're spraying with Roundup. We're spraying Roundup.
Oh, God, they're doing that here too, Chris.
Oh, yes, and the government here says it's perfectly safe. Meanwhile, the doctor in charge that was studying it in New Brunswick got fired because she was going to tell everybody that it's not safe and what it does. So they just got rid of her. Our government is trying to kill us off slowly. just to keep other people rich.
I don't know if they're doing it on purpose or just because they're incompetent.
I hear a child. Are they 18?
Yeah.
Yeah, my kid's going to bed, that's all.
It's okay.
I was going to say, we're not really very kid-friendly because we might say, fuck.
Occasionally.
We only let the ladies say that word.
That's true.
Yeah, that's right. And if they don't say it, we'll make them.
So while you guys have been chatting, I've been sitting here helping Kelly. Her fingers sliced open. They're trying to make dinner out in the back.
Gonna send her to the hospital for stitches?
Well, she's gonna wait. I said she doesn't want to go. I said if it's still bleeding when I'm done my show, we're gonna go. So, yeah, she's outside having a smoke and watching it bleed.
Getting crazy glue?
No.
Electrical tape's the only way to go.
Electrical tape works good, but crazy glue works better.
You know what? I'll have to I'll call Red Green.
I call it magical healing tape.
He'll fix it.
Duct tape, but better duct tape is Gorilla duct tape.
Oh yeah.
So we're sitting here. We are live. We've got another hour, and I know that people are listening because I can see them. Tonight we have with us our primary guest is Tamara Cartwright, who is a young lady out in BC who is one of God's helpers, as I like to call us people, and she spends a lot of time helping patients and stuff like that. She was charged under the MMAR in trying to help patients, and now she's going to have a little bit of fight trying to get her legal grow once she gets going. We have Sandra Petite, or Sandra. I've already changed that, Sandra.
What, to Sandera? That's it? Go by that now?
Sandra is a helper in the city of Toronto primarily, yes?
Yes,
but
where I live.
She's very well known across Canada as being very informative in the whole dispensary thing and the teaching aspect. Is that about right?
Yeah, pretty much educational aspect. I actually glad you brought up the dispensary issue because I think that's one thing that they're going to have to address. And I think it's,
yes.
Yeah.
And that's where I was going with this conversation, and I want to bring in Rick as well into this conversation because he is one of the owners of Toronto Compassion.
True
Compassion Toronto. I got it right the first time.
You did.
God,
should always go with your first instinct.
You know, like cannabis with somebody with an eating disorder, there's also cannabis with somebody with ADHD and dyslexia.
What if you have both?
I have all three.
As my old football coach
you have more
used to tell
grams
me,
per day.
if you're seeing triple, tackle the one in the middle.
I need more cannabis. Yes. Okay, so let's enter this conversation. The ACMPR and dispensaries. Sandra, I'm going to let you because I know you've got a lot to say, and I'm staring at Rick's fat foot.
Well,
you're staring at my foot again? Oh. How do I?
Go ahead, Sandra.
Well, I think you remember recently in the news. It's a little bit embarrassing, but there was up on Eglinton Avenue. There was a wee bit of an explosion at a dispensary, which is now. I have been in contact with my city councillor, his assistant, and I have been communicating, and it has been an issue. I'm sure they've been hearing about it. I understand that it is what people originally thought it was. I think the investigation isn't complete 100%, but I think there was an issue if something was going on there.
I read an article about the individual, and I don't want to go name calling, so I'm not even going to mention any.
No.
And he had been had some issues out west, and was very well known by the time this happened.
Yeah, and I expressed that to my city councilor's assistant that this is not I told her my past experience and what I'm involved in.
When you have over, the last count I heard was 350 dispensaries in Canada, you have a variety of people involved.
Yeah. How are you guys doing, Rick? Because you're literally biting a bullet every day that you're standing at the office.
Quite honestly, every day you go in, it's a little bit like looking down in your chest and going, "Oh, yeah, okay, there's the dot."
Yeah, but you're
we
strong in your beliefs that you're doing the right thing.
We're strong in our beliefs that we're doing the right thing. We're strong in our beliefs that we are serving our members, because even with the ACMPR, they specified that dispensaries are completely against the law.
Yeah, they were pretty clear about that.
I did, which was kind of curious, but whatever.
The word that they used though was storefront.
Storefront, yes.
So where do you think that leaves the online stores? Because there are many.
Maybe they're more legal than we are, or I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know if that gives them an out or not. What I found very curious was their outright banning of extractions and things like that.
Yep.
And
after they just deemed it legal.
And for people in the medicinal community who need those extractions, and I'm not even sure where edibles fall into that.
They not allowing for solvents like.
But
you're allowed extractions.
You can use extractions as long as it's not used with anything toxic, right? So you can't be making it with isopropanol or butane.
Right, exactly.
So you can still use your coconut oil, and you can still use your butter and your lactose butter and
it's
all that kind of stuff.
Also the process that's illegal. The process itself that's illegal with the solvents, right?
Yeah,
so
that means making.
Once it's made, it's fine though, right?
That means making Rick Simpson oil. That means making Rick Simpson oil is illegal.
Yes,
that's right.
Yes, it
is. Not if you use grain alcohol, it's not.
Grain
alcohol. So grain alcohol.
Tamara,
right? You can use grain alcohol.
Tamara, you can't use grain alcohol because grain alcohol falls under the class of organic solvent.
It even says alcohol.
Flammable, explosive, or toxic. And grain alcohol is all three.
But can I just say, to date, it has been illegal to do that to date all along. So all is stating what's already been known. It's illegal. It still is illegal. And yes, dispensaries are illegal, but they've always been illegal.
But it just goes to show that they're outright ignorance for patients' needs, because patients needs the products that these things provide, and very sick people.
Health Canada stating the obvious, which is already true. They're just reiterating what's already true. You're not supposed to use organic solvents to make extracts, and no storefronts aren't legal. But that's the way it's always been, so it's kind of redundant to point that out, right?
Right. Nothing's changed. All they've done is by saying it is they're not endorsing it by putting it into regulations, only because they didn't have the time to put them into regulations.
Right.
Because it's going to take them. It would take them at least 6 months just to write up regulations for dispensaries. We're going to see dispensaries very likely under the legalization model.
Well, how do you
but they're going to be regulated.
Vancouver and Victoria from doing what they've already been doing? Like Vancouver and Victoria have not stopped moving forward with regulating the dispensaries out there. Out here, anyways.
Because they're going to have to fall under regulations.
Absolutely.
So very likely,
we are asking for we are hoping for regulations.
Right. So Toronto should be following suit with Vancouver instead of cracking down on the dispensaries and making everybody lose their jobs and cause a great big, stress ball for everybody out there. Instead of waiting for the other shoe to drop, they should be doing that, like going with regulation of some sort.
The funny thing
didn't have all of their dispensaries rated.
No, it did not.
No.
So there's a reason for them rating dispensaries.
Why?
Yeah. Well, look at the
Because if they were
dispensaries
going
that
to
are
clean
not
up all the
rated. Look at
dispensaries,
that.
they would have raided every dispensary in Toronto, and they didn't do it. And there has to be a reason why they didn't.
Because the ones that didn't were run properly.
Yeah, but how do they know that? How do they know that they were run properly?
I don't know if we can say that. I don't know if we can say that, Sandra.
What, the ones that didn't get rated were?
Because I know
I would
some,
say
I
more
know,
likely.
I know some clubs that were rated that were quote unquote run properly.
Right,
Yeah,
but very likely the ones
There must be,
that got
but
raided
again,
were,
they must.
were ones
Like
that
Calm
had
was
complaints.
apparently run properly, but Calm was rated. All 3 locations were shut down. The name Calm doesn't happen. I think it's under another name now, but
But it could have been just a fact of dispensaries that they had complaints about from whoever.
Again, that's another thing that they've always said. They go on community complaints, but if a licensed producer makes a complaint, is that a community complaint?
Exactly.
Well, that's the thing.
problem.
RCMP will tell you the same thing. They won't bother with you unless they get a complaint. And the RCMP don't have a choice. They have to come out once a complaint has been filed, whether it's by an anonymous, tip on Crime Stoppers or anything, right? So it kind of leaves law enforcement in a predicament whether they come or they don't come. They don't really have a choice once that complaint's filed.
Right. They have to respond to every complaint.
Right.
The same as they have to respond to anyone they see actually committing a crime.
Right.
They swear an oath to do that.
Right. That's their excuse.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
the
but we've
more-
known for years that police only respond to complaints. They don't go looking for work because, remember, police are people and people are lazy.
Right.
You don't go looking for work. You let
No,
work come to
they
you
don't need
because it will.
donuts. Yeah.
Well, you go looking for work if you need a job, I guess, but once you have
Right
the
now
job,
they're
you don't go
trying to prove they
looking
need
for
budgets,
extra work.
right? So they have to prove right now that they need the budgets, because once legalization comes in, then what's going to happen to the Alberta task forces and all these great big task forces, the green teams, and looking for illegal grows. They have to prove they have to have budgets. Now's the time, right?
We have Operation Sabbath here, and that's helicopters that fly around, and they use different helicopters. Some are military, some
I
are
heard that.
search and rescue, some are lands and forests, whatever. And the RCMP fly around and look for people's gardens, and they go down and rip them up.
Because pigs do fly.
That you guys are under the assumption that come legalization that they're going to let people grow recreationally, and I don't know if that'll ever be allowed. So
Well,
I think it'll be
They're
allowed.
not going to have a choice.
It'll,
I don't think they're going to have a choice.
No,
If they're
but
going to
it's
allow
gonna
us
be
to
a
grow
limit
medicinally,
of
there's going to
homebrew,
have no
homegrown.
choice. Right, absolutely. Craft, it's exactly that. They're not going to have a choice, because if they don't, then again, it's then against the other part of Canada's charter right? It's absolutely going to have to happen, whether we don't, that's why we have to keep our medical in, because there's going to be such limitations on recreational. And that'll be, I guess, where their task forces come into effect. But I really believe in legalization, they're going to have no choice but to give, people small personal grows.
someone said earlier here that Washington had their medical rights taken away. Or grow rights taken away. Who said
I
that?
think we're more likely to lose our
Steve
medical
Elliott.
rights than our right to grow as individuals, to be honest with you. Just like Washington, I think that's more likely to happen than anything.
Well, see, Washington patients can still grow for themselves.
Yeah.
They just have to go and get a doctor to license it for them so they can do it.
No, but yeah, no, you're right. But they've made it very difficult. They've made it more difficult than here.
Well, no, here they've tried to make it as difficult as possible so you can never be approved.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's called bureaucratic disentitlement.
So it's like I said with me, it's almost like a 5-year mandatory minimum jail sentence. You got sentenced for this, and then now you can't grow for 10 years. So I'm already 5 years into it. Now I got another 5 years to wait. Like, never mind the firearm prohibition I got when I never owned a gun, and the trafficking charge for a gift that never received any money. Like, it just seems like that's a gift that's just kept on giving.
I just got a gift, a big slab of steak and some broccoli.
So can I have a question for you guys? When people are being granted these licenses and they're being granted for chronic conditions, why do these people have to renew their licenses?
Well, I think that exactly. If you've already been licensed, I've been licensed now going on 2.5 years. Why should I have to go and renew?
I can.
Yeah, I should have a
I've been
permanent
licensed for 5
exemption.
years, and now I can't.
For the exact same reason that the veterans have to prove every 2 years that they still don't have legs.
Yeah,
exactly. Again,
that's fucking right fucking there.
Sorry.
Well,
no,
you might die, and
it's
they
back
gotta
to the
go through
bureaucratic
death,
disentitlement.
It used to be once a year, but the liberals changed it to every 2 years now. Big fucking heroes.
Well, maybe if we send them part of our intestines, Chris, they might, get the message.
I don't think that they would, man. They got to live it to get it.
Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people that have MS aren't going to get over MS in a year.
No, absolutely not.
No.
And that's the thing. Like, even if you're not that sick, and here's the thing too. Like, along with all these afflictions that a lot of us got that are chronic illnesses that are not going to go away. MS, cancer does go into remission. I think that's where they want to watch and keep people, because my 17-year-old son had cancer at 17. Now that he's in remission, the doctors won't sign him for cannabis because he's now no longer in need of it. And it's like, he's not eating anything still. Like, he needs it. They won't.
And the other side of the argument is we're seeing articles that are just slamming cannabis as an issue with people who have mental health issues. I have severe ADHD. I'm actually on disability for it, and yet it's on the list. It's approved, but yet people are slamming it over and over again.
While CAMH has a certain
if you use cannabis to beat cancer, you're going to need cannabis for the rest of your life.
That's right. That's what I was getting at, Chris, with a mental health issue. That's for your life. I was born with this, and I found something. I was born with this, and I have found something that for the last 10 years has been helping me not rage, keep my life in order, get up, take my dog out for a walk. People... it's a very
functional.
It's a debilitating thing, and then you got to compound that. Most people with ADHD also have some chronic issues. Okay, and everybody knows that when you add chronic depression issues, you usually end up with a lot of pain issues too, because it's triggered by the depression.
And
right?
Insomnia.
Yes. And all of that shit, and then it snowballs, and then you end up like me with a frickin' mood disorder. So I've found something that my doctor has said, yes, I can use. I'm going to fight. I'm going to go within the law 100%, and I'm going to do what they are telling me I can do. And if they try and stop me, they're in for a fight. And I hope that other people are going to stand up like that too, because that's what's going to take. It's going to take somebody. It's going to take, a couple of hundred somebodies to create a stink and to push the issue right along the line, find those loopholes, and there are some.
There's always loopholes.
It's going to take, people, we talk about August 25th. But what's going to happen in the fall? Because originally in the announcement they said temporary.
Yes.
What does that mean exactly?
That's okay. Well,
temporary until spring 2017.
But the homegrown thing is not going to go away. I can't see it because they can't say you can do it now. You can't do it.
Well, no, you're still going to have your medical grow, but then I think what you're going to see come in the spring is the announcement of full-out legalization with licensed, authorized dispensaries.
I hope so.
That'll give from spring of 2017 until fall of 2017 for it to become operational with the sitting before Christmas.
Government just doesn't move that fast.
Pardon me?
Not in Canada.
Government just doesn't move that fast.
Oh, they do when they can realize a cash cow.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Well, if they couldn't see the cash cow years ago, then they just weren't looking because
You guys got to remember, and this is the facts state that when people turn to medicinal cannabis, they stop taking prescription drugs.
Well, that's already.
You know who notices that? The prescription drug companies.
That's right, and they're the ones that are kicking up the biggest stink about this.
Alcohol companies.
They both
Can we
are.
talk? Yeah, I was going to say.
They both are. The pharmacies want to, start distributing the medical part of it, which is basically going to leave dispensaries still closed because the pharmacies are going to have their hands in it. The liquor boards are already, starting to balk about the recreational in it. But here's my one question too: like in every province, but Alberta for one, is privatized alcohol. Liquor control boards now are not run by they're regulated by the provincial government, but in Alberta everything's privatized. So anybody can own a liquor store.
Yeah, it's like that in BC too, isn't it?
No, BC still has a BC Liquor Control Board in Ontario.
But I know I was in Mission, and I'm sure that I saw a couple of private.
No. They're
Ontario's gone into the supermarkets.
Well, they have they're private, like kind of like beer stores and stuff, but they have to be attached to like a hotel, right? So a hotel can have like a liquor store attached to it in BC, but everything also closes at 11 o'clock out here as far as giving liquor, right? But that's what I mean. Out here, there's still BC like provincial liquor stores as well that you can go to.
There's
not right now. Alberta, they totally privatized.
There's still a lot of stores here that are in the country. 8 in Ontario. You can go
in Ontario, you can buy booze off the shelves in the supermarket now. No.
Yeah, that's just recent, but I mean, little stores in Ontario in small rural areas. They've been allowed to sell beer and alcohol for years.
They can here too. Like they're actually Gold Creek actually has a liquor license for that, but it's actually registered as a BC liquor store. Though they've got the BC liquor store logo in their store, so they're regulated under the BC liquor store still. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And then you got your wine stores and yada yada yada.
Right.
Yada.
But I think she put it in the supermarkets, or that's the way a company would look at it. Was put it in the supermarket so she can move the weed in later.
Well, then put it in the supermarkets in the produce section where it belongs. Really,
weed, yeah.
Absolutely. It's a herb. Put it in with the cilantro and the dill and everybody else has different one side with I don't understand why everybody has to make it so dang complicated as well. Like I know it actually helps so many afflictions, but you have to kind of keep watching on what strain, and you're always trying to find a strain that's really working. I know myself personally, I can't smoke one strain for a long period of time.
Yeah, I get drowned out.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're always looking for new strains and always trying to make ourselves feel better. So I think we should have the option and not have somebody that's, I don't know, like I said, a lot of educated bud tenders out there, a lot of uneducated bud tenders, a lot of bud tenders in this area that hand you a brochure and tell you to go, check it out on Google. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, hence why I keep getting patients coming to me saying, can you help? Because we don't have any resource out here that's educated enough, like the one, in the area, not educated enough to do much. And that's sad.
Speaking of getting help, let's sorry, I'm eating a big piece of steak here. This steak is freaking awesome, by the way. Let's talk about getting help. Where can people get help and information? I mean, everyone here, I don't know what's going on there, but it's loud. Everyone here is a member of a group or an association, and on the daily, they are helping patients directly. Rick at his Compassion Club. Sandra, you float around, don't you?
I do.
Yeah. And Tamara, you help patients one-on-one?
Absolutely. Through the Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners Society, we, have a team that works, diligently with Ross and his wife Deb and Linda, as well as I have my own East Kootenay Cannabis Club out here.
You're not allowed to talk about the profiteer like that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
There's another side that you never talk about.
But yeah, Absolutely. I've helped patients now since it was paid forward to me. I was, signed up. I went out to Ontario Ontario, and had Dr. Cameraman sign me the first year. So
Yep.
since then, I've been helping patients, and it wasn't that I didn't help patients. I helped them getting medicine, whatever, accessing whatever. When it came to the MMPR, I was kind of diligently saying, just hang on for this.
That's what I was saying too.
You know, wait, just hang tight. Like, you know, I know it's frustrating and everything else, but right now it's just not a great time. Now that we've got some new paperwork, and once I've got a real grasp and handle on it, and I get my own papers signed, because I, you know, plan on not stopping in any way, you know, shape or form, we are going to like continue on with what we were doing. It's helping sign as many patients. Yeah, and help them with consulting. I do the baking now too. I'll help you make candy. I'll help you bake butter. You know, and it's all, like I said, I don't ask for any money or any compensation. It's just paying it forward. That's what our community is supposed to do, and that's the way I just do it. So yeah.
Now, speaking of the profiteer.
I thought of somebody right away.
Ross, you know what? You are very right. But we do talk about your other side a fair bit.
Sometimes, yeah. When we do, you know, the special show.
No, not just here, just on Pace.
Yes.
But Ross spends his day, much like me, sitting because his pain levels in his bottom are really bad. Bottom side, sorry. Bottom half.
I know.
I'm not a pain in the ass, okay, Al?
Hey, I know a guy, Ross.
Ross
I'll hook
spends
you up
his
later.
day.
You disagree with that, Marcel? Is it?
No, I know a guy. I can get you hooked up with something.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Ross spends his day on the phone with Health Canada, finding information about things that patients ask him. Ross, we joke that he's a profiteer, but he is. But not the kind that you think.
Don't put him in that category. We have an actual non-for-profit here, you guys. Come on.
But his day job.
Yes, absolutely. His day job.
He's a profiteer.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I think that that's kind of being a little bit harsh, there, Marcel.
Well,
it's true, but I'm slowly working my way to the same thing.
There you go.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, are you throwing stones?
Yes, he is. He is. We throw stones around here on each
Can I
other.
defend myself just for a second?
Anyways.
Even when I'm at work, even when Deb and I are being the profiteers, we and our staff help many sick people fill out paperwork, fill out doctor forms, tell them where to go to get what they need.
Oh, God,
help
you see, he's always telling people where to go.
How to do it safely. How you can do it, even in an apartment, if you use CSA underwriter laboratory approved equipment that is just like a hairdryer that you plug into the wall. And there's no danger of fire. If you're really worried, put a fire extinguisher on the wall. There's so many things you can do. And there's the whole thing about it being unsafe or there being mold or somehow you're going to start a fire. You know what? If you don't learn, if you don't ask the people who know, like the people at your local hydroponics store, the profiteers, if you don't ask them how to do it right, and you just go out and start doing silly things, then that's your fault. You need to learn, and we can teach you. And whether you're asking about it from the nonprofit side and you just need help to select the strain that's best for your condition and find a doctor and fill out the forms, or you need to get grow equipment to do it safely in your own home. That's what we do 24/7. There's two sides to what we do, and we do it every day, all the time.
And both Ross and his wife are master growers.
Absolutely.
Your wife is a botanist, though, isn't she?
She's a horticulturalist in that she has achieved a level of knowledge about horticulture in general that is superior to most people, short of someone who has graduated, with a PhD. Really, I mean, she's not a PhD by any means, but
that comes from being in your store, and like I know I've gotten to know Ross pretty well,
and having to make Ross understand everything that he's got in his store.
And so if you go into his store. If you go into Ross's store and be it Ross, his wife, or one of their staff members and ask them a question, they will find you the actual answer. Okay? It won't just be, this is how I do it. They're going to find you an actual answer. I've had many conversations with Ross about equipment and stuff like that, and he'll tell me what he thinks. He'll tell me what other people are doing. and then he'll say, "What would you like to do?" and give me the options, right?
Right.
Which is, for somebody who knows nothing, I don't have a green anything, it's needed.
Absolutely.
You know, you need a place to go in or a website where
You
the
need to have somebody
questions
to
that you
go
have are
hands-on with
answered.
you.
That's right. That's right. So we need to have Ross do his own show. No, I'm just kidding.
You know, that's a good idea, though. Like,
take
seriously, because a
more
lot of
of
people
his time.
don't, and that's what we do too. Any growing consultation. My husband and I have been growing for 20 years ourselves, right?
Okay, I didn't know that.
And absolutely, absolutely. Like we're we can help people. We'll help you germinate right from clone to whatever you want to do for absolutely no cost either. Because to me, like I said, it's just helping everybody out. We can all then make no commodity out of cannabis, right?
But
when everybody grows it,
yes.
there's no commodity in it. Then there's no need for it unless you have to purchase, right?
And it's so hard, as we've found out in the last couple of weeks. It's really, really hard to know, out of all these helping people, who are helping and who are full of shit. And you have to be really careful because, what's going on now is there was a slew of really, really good clinics that came along, and they were doing really good work for this kind of people and that kind of people. Now, all of a sudden, those kind of clinics are not accepting grows.
Yeah, I know. I heard that too.
They won't sign. Yeah, and it's a conspiracy because.
Well, here's my understanding though. The doctor
even
has
the
no
ones
say
that's-
in your garden. Like none. They don't have to sign your paperwork. So I don't understand how any doctor can say to you. And actually, I was having a conversation with Deb Schultz-Giffen about this afternoon, and how the fact that they can actually tell you whether you can grow or not. Like they can't. They don't have any say on your paperwork. I know that, but their signature's not on the paperwork.
Yeah,
They've come out,
yours.
they've come out and say that if you grow your own or if you buy a dispensary, they will revoke your prescription.
That's a human rights issue. They can't do that. Your doctor has
It's a class action suit waiting to
Yes,
happen.
because listen, I know the cannabinoid medical clinic said it was a corporate policy of theirs the day after that the ACMPR was released, and come on.
Trauma healing centers.
But here's the thing: you cannot. There's no with the paperwork that you apply for your grow doesn't even go in front of your doctor. It's a separate form altogether. It was with the MMAR, and it is now. So what is it?
But if you go to a clinic,
they know which licensed producer you go to.
If you go to a clinic and they have already got an agreement in place with a licensed producer that they only use them, and it is happening, we know it is.
Yeah,
I guess it's time to shut those clinics down. I guess it's time to start boycotting those clinics because there are doctors. There's got to be other doctors out there that aren't going to be, sucking off the tit of the LP. Yeah. There's got to be some of them out there.
Those are the doctors that are going to charge you somewhere up around $250 to sign and get your signature.
I don't know. I was told that I've got a friend that got a hold of me because I'm not sure that my new BC doctor is going to sign us either, and said that she can get me signed up, no cost, and I'll have to get some more information on that for you, but there are doctors out there that are not charging, and I know I'm in BC, which makes it a little easier for me. I know there's not doctors in Alberta, but I mean, even there's doctors at other places that are actually lightening up around that we really need to,
because
push the college and physicians, right? This is a time to start pushing them, I guess.
Yeah, and I think now that, you see, the argument I got for 5 years was I don't know enough about diagnosis. I don't know enough about doses.
That was my argument today. That was my argument today.
Here's a fax down to COM for you, and they'll explain it to you, and you can get it from them.
Well, no, that was my argument with Debbie today. Here's the doctors and Health Canada saying that there's no medical, they have no research, they've got nothing, they've got no way of dosing us, they've got nothing. Yet you've got these now doctors from this marijuana for trauma or whatever group it was saying, well, we're only going to allow you to have this much THC and this much CBD, and we're going to phone your LP and ask them if you're using this and that and whatever. But here's my question: how does that doctor know if there's? I said no research, no endorsement from Health Canada that marijuana is even a medicine or any dosing protocol, and they haven't got it yet. These new doctors that are connected to the licensed producers can now absolutely tell you what you do and you don't need.
And nobody's talked about the fact that the legalization task force is talking about limiting the THC and
Yes, on the recreational scale. And you know what?
How the hell can they do that?
Can't do.
How they can do that?
Because the market will never accept it.
Absolutely. There's no way
Anything
in hell
less
they can
than
do
what
that.
it is now, they won't sell marijuana.
No, absolutely not. You can't
They
sell
absolutely
swag.
won't do it. So,
Right, you're
so
right, Sam.
Remember,
common
they
sense
have to
says
appease
that
both.
can't happen.
But they have to appease both sides, and both sides also means the black market side.
Well, I think I heard somebody the other day
Then
saying
they'll
that
never
people
get
that
rid
don't
of the
smoke
black
marijuana
market.
don't have a say, and people that don't smoke marijuana or cannabis or don't consume cannabis shouldn't have a say in what goes on with our lives.
I agree.
That's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Which really
can
brings
they
up
do-
something. I got to raise it. Sam Malachi, you guys probably know who he
Yes,
is.
I know.
Yeah, we know.
Yes. Well, Sam is calling. He just posted it. Petition calling for a royal commission on cannabis in Canada. Please sign it. Please promote it. We need to get at the bottom.
I signed it.
The LP system was set up by the former government.
I signed it because, and I'm gonna, and anything that I feel is okay, I'm gonna sign it too. Because at this point, I can't go out and quote unquote stand up like they're telling people to do. And I won't go out and stand on a street corner and yell at people and get angry and call our prime minister assholes and other names.
Well, that's on Facebook.
I hate that. I think that what I call the bully activists are causing more issues than they really know, because their tactics the bully activists are the ones, unfortunately, are getting featured on these stories on CNN and other networks.
Bully activists also, and just in defense of them sometimes, are people who need marijuana to live.
Yes.
And when you need it for your life, as somebody who does as well, as somebody who was on a fistful of opiates, you get quite passionate.
Oh, of course you do.
And it's a human rights issue, and they should have the right, just like Black Lives Matter.
Okay, but let me ask you all a question.
You can't put that in the same category.
Okay? I don't feel it is in the same category, and that's my own personal opinion. I don't like bullies, period. I don't care if you're a helpful bully or a not helpful bully. I don't do bullies. I'm not going to sit there and listen to somebody screaming at me about stuff that I need information about and a conversation about, not being screamed at. And yes, it has some, it does help. These sessions on the street there are people out there yelling the word and informing people and educating people, but they're not sitting there yelling obscenities at people. Okay? And I think that can have a negative impact, because, like I said, that's what you see in the media. That's what the media wants to see. It's called a good news day when something happens bad, an explosion in Toronto. Good news day.
Yeah, they go shiny and they run. That's the media, especially in Toronto.
Boom! Oh, look at that. Yeah, we're
shiny.
Good day today.
I was wondering where you were going with that, because I'm kind of a bully activist, minus the obscenities, unless they're called for.
I'm a bully activist.
Yeah, I'm a bully activist.
I'm a bully.
I don't even need I don't even need a megaphone.
Okay, that's not. I don't consider you guys bullies. All right.
I'm not a bully.
I was pretty quiet there for a second, trying to figure out where you were going with it. I'm going, wait a sec. Oh boy.
I'm not.
The voice is needed. But my point was, there are. Let me count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and me twice. 8 people here. And we haven't yelled obscenities at each other, have we?
No,
not
yet.
Not on air.
And we have 6 very similar yet individual belief systems and all that, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, we've got 6 different opinions from 6 different Canadians, from one end of the country to the other. Again, Marcel and Chris are out east in Nova Scotia, and Tamara is out in BC, and then the rest of us, which is Rick and myself and Ross, are sitting.
Sandra.
And Sandra.
Sandera.
Sandera, yes.
I was just
Toronto.
looking over. I was just looking over and saw her face, and I went, "Yes," and Sandera. We're in Ontario, so this is a pretty good judge of what's going on in Canada as far as the troubles we're having, and they are troubles because it's not all that easy. There's a lot of arguing going on amongst patients because everybody thinks they're fucking right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of arguing going on amongst activists and advocates because they think they're right.
Well, it's like, when people on Facebook are posting about who you should be supporting and well, you should be doing this. Don't tell me how I should approach this. I do my own thing in my own way.
Yes.
But there's a lot of that's bullying people into your own method.
We can all do that together without the bullying. Is my whole point.
Yeah. There's no need for bullying.
I mean, there's 6 different associations here from 6 different groups who have their own identity, who do their own work wherever they are, and then there are a few of you. Well, I guess everybody is with the exception of Rick, is a member of the task force here, I believe. It's Rick and Sandra. Right, because Tamara is a member of the task force.
Yeah, I was.
As is Ross.
And Debbie Stoltz-Giffen and Cheryl T. Rose.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was a collaboration of actually 4 foundations because we took everything back.
That's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
Because there wasn't. It was there was us collectively, but of course it was the Haley Rose Foundation. It was MCPAC. It was MUM, and it was also Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Society. So we collaborated all together. We all being the CEOs and secretaries and stuff kind of made the final decisions. But we asked questions from other people. We didn't get a lot of feedback, which was kind of disheartening that we didn't get more feedback from more patients. But we did try and ask and reach out and try and get a general consensus of what everybody wanted, and we're hoping that some of that did get through. I know that Ross bound that up and it went out looking very professional and done professionally. We did our very best on behalf of patients. We hope that we're hoping that would have been some impact to what the regulations are. Now they are close enough to the ACMPR or AR that there's not a lot of tweaking that was done. So can I say I'm really happy? Like I said, I was really happy till I read the portion about you can't have a criminal record for 10 years, and that kind of put a wafted right into my hole.
What are you going to do there? How are you going to push it?
If I had $1 million, but I mean, I don't have money. Like any lawyer that I go to talk to, $5,000 retainers, and then it's more and more and more. And we already know that Conway cost $350,000 to run the Allard case. I don't have the funding, so and I don't expect anybody to start fundraising to do anything.
Yeah, you know what's
right
really unusual
for everybody else.
With the ACMPR, I think, was it you that made the point, Tamara, that you can get pot for your pets, but you have a criminal record?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You can get a prescription for your pets, but I can't,
So
can't
just put your grow in the name of your pet.
Well, I got enough of them. I could probably, get myself an LP.
Yeah, 4 per space.
That's right.
They're breeding chihuahuas.
Yeah, exactly. But and like I said, it's disheartening. But unfortunately, I have a husband that also is MMAR, and I can designate my plants to him, and or I also have another dear friend that has offered to do it for me as well. So I mean, I have options. My concern is what about the people that don't? And I mean, let's face it, there wasn't very. I'm sure there's not that many of us, or many. Well, I'm sure there's not that many that were charged holding an MMAR. Like I had my MMAR for exactly 15 days after the fact that I finally got it in my hand that I was charged. Like, who would have thought 15 days into having one ever that I would have got charged for this silly thing? And it's just still 5 years later baffling how 4 grams of cannabis got me 6 months conditional and house arrest and firearms prohibition and now basically a 10-year mandatory minimum sentence. So how am I going to approach this? I don't know how to even bother to approach it.
It sounds horrible. Excuse me. But I have a feeling that may change. That's, that there's just no fairness. If you're sick, you're sick, and
well,
if you
my
can
health
grow,
has
you
nothing
can
to
grow.
do with that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, my past record, and it's been 5 years, exactly,
Yeah.
actually. And my health has nothing to do with what I did in the past. And like, granted, whatever. I still don't believe what I did was wrong. I don't care what the law is. I do, to a point. Like, that sounds kind of blatantly, narcissistic in a way. But I don't. When it's with somebody in need, I don't care. Like, that patient needs that medicine,
Right.
and that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And I don't care. Like, I'm sorry, not even sorry.
Marcel, can I ask Marcel a question?
Yeah.
Marcel, what would be your opinion about the possibility that Judge Phelan, when he looks at these regulations and he considers the lifting of the injunction, do you think he's going to have an opportunity to say that this is still a violation of our Section 7 charter rights?
Can you add
past record? What's your opinion on that?
I think what'll happen is very likely Kirk and John will get together and they'll submit a brief to the judge in regards to what
Kirk
they
just
feel.
posted.
I saw it
something.
too. The task force meeting went
I
very
just
well.
reposted it. Yeah.
Yeah, but what they'll do is submit a brief to the judge and what they feel the conditions aren't suitable or met, and then the judge will let the Crown have a chance to respond, and then the judge will hopefully deem that it is still not a charter compliant program as was directed by him.
And then what happens?
So that it ain't over till the fat lady sings, right, Marcel?
It stays that you're covered under your injunction until
they come up with something else.
And it could take 2 to 3 years because don't forget they still want to roll out their legalization plan.
Yeah.
Remember
so
I
this,
said at the beginning,
so this could be effectively a stall?
That's what I said would very likely happen in the beginning.
They said the
When they
MPM
started this,
They
that
said
they'll
right
come out
from
with
the
something.
beginning the ACMPR was just a stopgap measure until legalization.
They had to address the injunction.
Right.
Is the
so
word they
I'm
use,
sure they realized that they
So
weren't going
is
to be
there any
coming out with
point-
a charter compliant.
I think.
Okay, but here's my question then. If it's temporary, what is the point in even, like, okay, we already know that if you're covered under ALERT, unless you need to have an address change or your prescription up, you're still covered by ALERT. So what is the point then, I guess, is my question, as to even applying for a temporary program that might not even exist in 6 months?
Because it's still
they
our
were
charter right
ordered.
to grow and access cannabis by growing as patients. It's still our Section 7 charter right to do so. And even under legalization, they can't violate our Section 7 charter rights. So
our
that's
license may be for a year renewal as per before.
But Tamara, the reason that they had to come out by the 24th is if they didn't, there would be no cannabis laws in Canada.
Right, I know that. Yeah, I know that, Marcel. Yeah.
Right?
And then anybody
absolutely.
could do whatever they wanted?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that already happened once, didn't it?
Oh, a few times, yeah. Oh, yeah, a few
Yeah,
times
More than
now.
once.
Yeah, I would
It
say
hasn't
3
ha-
times now. 3
I
times.
only remember the once. I remember the one summer for the whole summer it was legal in Canada.
No, that was
And-
just a campaign of Mark Emery's, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Speaking
Yeah,
of the Emery's,
Yeah.
yeah, they're opening up all over Toronto.
4 stores in Toronto.
They're in the old Get Melted place.
They got one in Peterborough
Yep.
now, too. Peterborough of all places.
Yes.
Another old store as well up on Eglinton.
Yep.
Well, overgrow the government, overgrow the dispensary, whatever it takes to get it done. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really have an opinion on that, to be honest with you.
I do, but I'm not going to say it.
You know what? I think if it was anybody but them, I think nobody would have a problem. Like, and that's I think
you
the
know
biggest
what?
problem is.
And
If it was
I
anybody but
honestly
them,
think
right?
you're right. You are very right about that, Tamara.
Right.
I think that if it was not the Emerys
Right,
themselves
everybody
that
would be
were pushing
applauding.
the envelope,
Exactly, everybody
there'd
would
be
be
applauding.
applauding and exactly, and pushing and being very supportive about it.
Yeah.
Hence, everything else, put everything aside. Like, I'm not, no longer, whatever. Anyways, they're doing something that's actually pushing the envelope, and I have to applaud them. And like I said, put up as many and grab on, jump on
Fair
the
enough.
more the merrier, as far as I'm concerned.
fair enough.
Yeah, right.
Emery, he was interviewed by Global the other morning.
Yeah, the Global Morning Show. He did a good job on that, I thought.
What's that host's name? Ron something?
Yeah.
He was pretty good because he's pretty calm.
Yeah, I didn't catch that at all. But like I said, the more the merrier. Like, I mean, in hindsight, you might not like the messenger, but the messenger doesn't really matter when the message is getting through.
He basically said what you said, Tamara, that, people who don't use cannabis shouldn't have a say in how cannabis is regulated.
No, they shouldn't. They absolutely shouldn't.
He compared it to living in Mexico and being a Mexican, and knowing that there's an election in Canada and having an opinion on that, but you're not allowed to vote.
Well, I mean, I kind of agree with that. It's kind of like the people in Colorado, where these, certain counties in Colorado opted out on legalization in Colorado, and now they're all crying about they're not getting any money for new schools and infrastructure. You opted out on cannabis legalization. You opt out on the tax money. That's just, a no-brainer. Why would you expect to get kicked from something that you want nothing to do with? So I don't believe that anybody that is a non-consumer of cannabis has a right to say what I can do with my life, period.
And why should somebody who's been a prohibitionist for 50 years have any say in how it's regulated?
Well, exactly. And they shouldn't be involved in it.
So why did they put Bill Blair in charge of the task force?
And no, it isn't Bill Blair. It's Ann McClellan.
That's funny. I actually saw it with her. We were at Campaign College in Edmonton up in, a year and a half, 2014. And we actually had a campaign college with the whole Liberal caucus. We went up there and we sat with Ann McClellan and Carolyn Bennett and pretty much the whole Liberal MP Women's Caucus. And I spent an afternoon talking to her about medical cannabis and that I was a licensed medical cannabis patient. Joy Davies was there as well. And we spoke with these women about the fact as to why, who, what, where. And this is the face of what somebody that's, that you consumes cannabis looks like. And looking and talking to her at that point in time, I would have never thought she was the person she was prior.
Yeah, so she actually called cannabis users stupid.
Well, at one point in time she did. Yes, absolutely she did. Yeah. But I mean, times have changed. Look at how far we've come since 2007, Sandra. Really, in hindsight, things have changed progressively, not always in the positive direction. We've had a few hiccups and mishaps along the way. But since 2007, when I started this, things have changed progressively for the better. I feel like we're actually speaking about it. The Liberals came out even talking about the word legalization. God, when Harper was in there, you couldn't even speak the word cannabis, never mind legalization.
I am really fortunate because I live in Toronto, St. Paul's, and Carolyn Bennett is my MP. So, and she is, she's very involved with Women's College Hospital. She's very supportive. And I also know she had a town hall meeting years ago on the issue of marijuana.
Well, she came with us when we were in Ottawa as our MP that was stood beside us when we had that press conference. And what year was that now? 2009, I think it was, or 2010. Like yeah, and we were all in Ottawa that year. And Carolyn Bennett stood with us then, too. So, like I said, I think we've made some progress.
Yeah. I should say, I recently got nominated to CAMH's Empowerment Council for Mental Health.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And we're developing a policy. They're in favor of it, actually. The Empowerment Council is. They do, and what we do is I'm a client advocate for people that have mental health issues.
We've had Peter Ferenczi on the show several times. I really enjoy talking to Peter. He's an amazing man.
I'm still not convinced legalization is going to happen in 2017.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just have a sneaking feeling that this may be an election.
Well, you know what they might do is we can't legalize it yet, but
they're going to drag their feet. They're going to drag their feet, and make an election issue for the next election.
Yeah, that's what I suspect as well too. I've said that.
So, folks, we've got 10 minutes left, and I want to make sure that everybody has something to say. So I'm going to start with Tamara, since she was our confirmed guest. You've got 2 minutes to enlighten us and close, and please include where people can find you and all that stuff.
Nobody told me that I had to make a speech.
You're not. You can sit there and go blah, 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 if you like.
Well, I'm not really sure. I'd like to, like we're Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Society, and Ross is, part of that as well. And I'm out here in the East Kootenays, and you can reach me at East Kootenay Cannabis Club or my Facebook page or Twitter. I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. But if you're in the West Kootenays, East Kootenays, I know there are dispensaries in Nelson, which is about an hour and a half from me. There's a dispensary up in Marysville, which is still 35 minutes from me as well. So if you're in this area and you're listening, you can always get a hold of me, and I can probably help you with some access to some medicines. And other than that, like I said, we worked really hard with the National Task Force to try and get some sort of recommendations to Health Canada. And I want to thank Ross and Debbie Schultz-Giffen and Lori and Ellen and Deb and Linda and who am I forgetting? Cheryl and everybody that was involved, all the patients that gave us their input on that. I'd like to thank everybody that was involved in that. And other than that, I'm hanging out in Cranbrook, where I am. Me and the dogs.
Sandra, please give us your final thoughts and where people can find you.
I don't have any website or thing, but I am public on Facebook, so you can message me if you need any assistance or advice. And I am trying to keep myself politically involved as much. I am actually a member of the Liberal Party, and that doesn't mean I can't critique them, but it's better to work within them and see what's going on. But I'm hoping to affect change politically that way. I am on the policy committee here in Toronto St. Paul, that this topic will eventually come up. Right now we're talking about guaranteed income. That's a big topic right now where people receive
I saw something about that on the news. I'm not exactly sure what that's going to entail,
the Ontario government's going to be experimenting with it, and Russell Barth informed me that it's for people that are 65. They're going to
elderly.
Yeah, elderly. They're going to do that, but it makes sense because they're paying so much for all these services. We have a homeless 30,000 people per night live in the streets in Canada. So, at that, every person would be able to afford a home, or not a home, a place to live, rent. Food to eat. Food. But also, too, if you're in between, like, you're going through rough economic times and you're not employed, you don't lose everything. And then have to start from scratch, or you're living in your car, which I know people that have. So this is not a guaranteed thing, but at least they're looking at it. So at least I'm involved. That I mentioned earlier, the Empowerment Council. I got nominated to that, and hope to see positive changes for people using cannabis for harm reduction purposes. And I'd like to see a more positive thing from CAMH toward that. So yes, if you want to get hold of me on Facebook, I also mentioned earlier too that Sam Malachi has put out a call for a Royal Commission on Cannabis to get to dig in. I think he's on to something.
I've actually had that conversation with him. Although he was kind of yelling at me, but
that's Sam. Sam. Yeah, that's how Sam talks.
I've had that conversation with him a few times actually.
But he's very passionate because he knows it was set up by the Harper government. And
he is so passionate that if you are talking to him and you tell him that your shoulder is killing you, he'll take off your shirt and rub you. That's how passionate Sam is. And Rick is laughing because he knows it's true.
It is true. That's why I'm laughing. It's true. Sam, he gets into your illness. But
he does.
He's
hands first.
He's got a huge heart and a style that kind of like I always compared to that Snickle Bars commercial.
Yep, and his wife is darling. I
she is. I'm just speaking with her today, and And they both come from the same point of view. They want to help people. That they sincere.
And she's a hell of a baker.
Oh yeah.
Rick, please
Yes.
enlighten us, would you please, sir?
You can find me at True Compassion Toronto. You can look us up at truecompassiontoronto.com. We're open 7 days a week. You can give us a call at 647-977-1995, and we're going to be open as long as we're able to serve our members.
And
You know what, Rick? I just want
thank you, Rick. Yeah, I was just gonna. That's what I was looking for.
Thank you very much, Rick, for actually standing up for the rest of the patients. Thank you.
There are still a few helpful souls out there running and taking a lot of risk, and I talk to Rick every now and then, and like usually he's pretty stressed out and like biting his lip, and there's a lot of other people doing the same thing. So
it's a little bit like, you got the scope set on you, but at the end of the day, edibles, extracts, they basically saved my life, and I want to give other people the same opportunity that I did to have a quality of life, that I wouldn't have if it wasn't for medicinal cannabis.
Did you tell folks of your website?
TrueCompassionToronto.com.
Awesome.
You can find us on Facebook as well.
Yes, you can, and I'm going to make sure that we got a link up there on our site too, because I like to support you guys. You guys are doing great.
We really appreciate that, man.
Yeah. Laura, as I mentioned, Lori is not here today, but Marcel and Ross and Chris are. Chris, would you please tell people who you are, why you're here, and, don't tell people why you're here, because Chris is here because Marcel made him come.
More or less.
It's hilarious.
Chris, tell people who you are and where people can find you.
You can find me at Maritimers Unite for Medical Marijuana. I'm part of the board there and part of the... we have our CSI initiative, which is the Court Support Initiative. We're in the courtrooms when people are standing in front of judges and nobody else is there. If I know you're in court, that we try to make sure that there's somebody there with you. Give you some help. Go ahead.
And you're out in the East Coast in Nova Scotia, but you go to Manitoba as well.
No,
New Brunswick. New Brunswick, right?
But I pretty much stick around the in Nova Scotia. But
okay,
I will make phone calls and stuff to people wherever they need to be if I can.
And now, mom is spread all over the East Coast now, right?
Yeah, we're pretty much all over the place, and the bigger we grow, the larger our voice becomes, and
And you also do something yourself. You have a coffee and conversation that evening, right?
Yeah, I've got Karma Compassion. It's a group that I put together, and Tuesday nights I have cannabis, coffee, cookie, and conversation. It's just a bit of a peer support group, a chance for people just to get shit off their chest. I find these days the mental health support system is lacking, and a lot of people I find just really want to get their story off their chest without being interrupted and having somebody try and fix things. So it's a chance for people to have a place to go to just get shit off their chest and talk to people and burn a couple or not. It doesn't matter. There's no pressure.
Yeah, that's why I love you, Chris, because you're very. He's a pretty intense cat, okay, but laid back kind of way. And just to update people, Chris has had some in the process learning. You've blown yourself up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so Chris knows what he's talking about. So if you go out and spend some time talking to him, and he'll sit there next to you in a courtroom too, right? So
yeah, well, I mean, it's part of the other groups that I'm with too. I'm with a burn support group. I'm a volunteer at the hospital to go talk to patients.
Yeah, and that's your life.
Yeah, it has become.
Yeah. Ross.
Yes, sir.
You want to tell people where? Did you already tell people where you can find?
I can just give a quick summary. First of all, as far as the 420 radio show goes, I would be considered the Curly to Chris's Larry and to Marcel's Mo. So that's the standing at the show. I'm also, Executive Secretary with the Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners. And you can be found at the CanadianTherapeuticCannabisPartners.com or on Facebook at the CTC Society, Facebook.com/CTCP Society. And also co-owner of BMA Hydroponics. We can be found at BMAHydroponics.com.
And Ross is here with us every week, as is Marcel and Glory and Chris. Marcel has been here now going on 3 years with me and Lori. Lori's been going on, I think, 5 years now. And they have been two people, as well as Kelly and Tim and Dean and Kelly and a whole bunch of other people who have stood by me for 8 years doing this, and I really appreciate it. Marcel, tell people about you, what you're doing, where people can go, and you can tell people where to go now.
I like telling people where to go.
Don't tell them that.
Where am I? I'm
in space. The final frontier.
Busy. I'm like Ross, whereas I do a lot of consulting, but 90% of the consulting I do is free.
Yes.
Because I consult the patients at no charge. I can't see charging a patient, but if they're a corporation, then yeah, of course I'm going to charge them. And then I also run Cannabis Technologies Incorporated, which is a consulting, teaching, and product development firm.
But if there's patients out there that want to donate, right?
Pardon me?
If there's patients out there that have money that want to donate.
Right, but
we're not going to say no.
Well, I'm not going to say no if they want to donate money.
Amen.
No, but I'm not looking to get rich. I'm looking to provide products that work at affordable pricing for distributors. I don't sell retail. I only sell to compassion clubs and dispensaries, that type of thing. But I'm also working on other products geared more towards the pharmaceutical industry. So don't get mad at me, but cannabis is eventually
involves
cannabis is going to have to go to a pharmaceutical format to ever get a DIN number. I'm working my ass off with another group of very intelligent individuals to get that to happen.
Cool.
So,
and it's true because he has no ass at all.
That's right. my ass is gone, but we just finished up a clinical trial to prove what I already knew that I figured out years ago, and it looks like preliminary results coming in are exactly what we said would happen, so we can get to move on to the next phase, start more trials.
Where's your website?
My website is cannabis.ca.
Cool. So everybody, thank you all for being a part of this. This has been a great conversation.
Thank you.
My name is Al Rapp. I started doing this because a friend of mine's sister got Lynch syndrome, and I wanted to help out. And it kind of went from a hobby, well, it's still a hobby, but it's turned into a full-time hobby. We're here every Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to get a hold of anybody that you've heard talking or you just want to say hi, you can stop by our website at lifestyleradio.ca or 420radio.ca, which is our show site. There's a lot of patients out there that are hearing the constant barrage of mainstream media and their nastiness, and it's confusing a lot of people. I'm confused, and I've been sitting here for 8 years talking to people like this. We've got a long hill ahead of us, unfortunately. But we're making headway, right?
Is it?
Yeah. So I think we're going to call it that, and say goodnight. What do you guys think?
Sounds cool to me.
Yeah. Gotta go
Hopefully,
sleep.
Laurie will be feeling better and we'll be
I
back
hope
with
so
us
too.
next week. Next week we have the folks, I believe, from the THC Legal Group in Ohio. And forgive me if I'm wrong. And they asked if they could come on the show to have a conversation about lots of stuff going on down there. And as always, if you are from somewhere other than Canada and you'd like to give us your perspective, we may be all up here in Canada, but this is a worldwide epidemic, as I call it, and we have a voice and we'd like to hear yours. We're here every Friday, 7 p.m. This is the 420 Radio Show. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Night. Peace out.
Good night.
Peace, love, and hippie shit, as Chris would say.
Okay. Amen to that. Later.
Have a good long weekend.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
Is a dangerous road that we travel. Is a dangerous road that we travel. And now we don't know the final destination. But all that wait, yeah, is on our minds. We took the path, whoa, complete and utter destruction. Can't get away from the bloodshed on our hands. But it's not too late for you. No, it's not too late for me. We have taken too much to see. Watch your life get truly be. It is a dangerous road that we travel. Yeah, it is a dangerous road that we travel. Bring it back to
like music, you like weed. Well, we gonna be good friends indeed. This is not much I like more than smoking trees. They'll make you dance the do-si-do and teach you how the chiba grows. Smoke a bowl on the 420 radio show. On Lifestyle Radio.
So what are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
Trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and